afternoon and welcome once again to Gaming Under the Influence. I'm Mike here with Alex, coming to you from GreenDragonCVR in Woodbridge, Ontario to talk to you about video games.
Fucking video games. Again.
How's it going, man?
It's going, it's pretty good. How about you?
Same old. Nothing changes
Same old.
in life, but I've still been playing this V Rising.
Yeah, there hasn't been really much going on otherwise, so
Like 1.5 million other people, apparently.
Yeah, wow, that many?
At this point, yeah.
Shit.
A lot of people.
That's pretty ironic.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Given what we're going to talk about soon, but...
It's interesting that took off like that. Maybe this genre is more popular than, even the success of something like Valheim would suggest, because it only took a week.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe Valheim has a little bit to do with that. It's kind of been, this survival genre, which is what V Rising is. It's kind of been trending upwards, over the course of a couple years.
Yeah.
Some notable games have come out and sort of projected it into like almost mainstream, now to the point where fucking Blizzard is making a survival game, right? So
great,
it's no surprise that this one is also, I guess, taking off. But
yeah,
that's sick.
Let's just chat a little bit about that today.
Yeah.
And, one thing that I found out that was interesting was the company that made it. What are they called? Stunlock?
Yeah, I think
Swedish dudes.
Stunlock Studios.
I think a studio of 20 to 30 people in size. They're actually wholly owned, I think, now by Tencent since 2019. So this game was made by Tencent money, which is
Who the fuck saw that coming?
hilarious. Yeah.
I mean,
seems like an indie, and it is, I guess, by all for all intents and purposes. You got the budget of an indie game.
It definitely
the outward sheen of one
comes off that way. It's almost like they market it as so on purpose, right? Like, hey, it's that kind of ride off of that like low budget indie style that is obviously super popular.
Technically, not a big budget game.
Yeah, except the studio is still owned by Tencent. It's very strange.
It's strange.
It's weird.
What this fucking brings to light is this strange boundary between. I mean, what we used to think was more clearly defined, I guess, right?
Yeah, but like, isn't that a good thing? Like, don't we want big publishers to even, have a footing in smaller studios, like, and let them sort of somewhat independently run? Like, isn't this kind of like somewhat, I don't want to say best case scenario because it's not, but it's better than, AAA is being dominated by big budget shit. Like, isn't it just good to have a diverse portfolio?
I think, for the sake of diversity alone, you're definitely right about that. It can't be bad that fucking they're investing in different kinds of things anyways, because it means even if most of it's shit, at least every once in a while gold
something
nugget's
good comes out.
Through,
yeah,
right? Like
gold nugget just
through the sphincter,
Fair enough. Out of the conveyor belt, just a fucking miracle.
Yeah.
Wow.
But on the other hand,
out.
an interesting thing that this is definitely not going to be a well-liked fucking remark or sequence of thought.
Yeah.
So brace yourselves.
Okay.
Fucking
ready.
One thing that I was reading was that, in recent years, maybe we discussed this before, there was a crackdown on the Chinese tech industry by the government themselves that caused a lot of the companies to just bottom out, Tencent itself lost 40% of its value, I believe.
Oh, shit.
After being targeted by the Chinese government for various things. They were trying to induce this lifestyle shift. They didn't want kids playing online games.
Yeah, it probably had a lot to do with like microtransactions and gambling.
Yeah, a lot of shit like that.
Loot boxes, the fucking shit.
Which Tencent games probably are nefarious for, but they're apparently not the worst out there. And
I think they're not the worst because of the intervention.
What we're talking about right now.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying, the government.
So what happened was the other companies were just totally tanked. I think some of the people even got arrested. There was this whole thing,
Yeah.
But Tencent was left largely intact, and whereas other companies bottomed out, they apparently only lost 40% of their value or something in that range, right? Because they're regarded as good corporate citizens, by the government. Like, not as socially harmful. Like, they collaborate. They have something of what you might call, in other words, like becoming a state-sponsored monopoly, practically.
Yeah.
Which something that in theory I'm sympathetic to,
I think
like if it produces things that are decent, I don't see how we could possibly complain about that.
No, I don't either. But I think that's a big thing in China. I think most of their big businesses, you have to corroborate,
you have to be in cahoots with the government.
The government, but they sort of have a hand in everything.
For sure, yeah, they definitely do. But here they, destroyed those other companies, and on the side of Tencent, they figured out that, or they assessed them and they decided that they were, not socially deleterious. They weren't bad for people, I guess.
Yeah, like what do you think they what do you think they did? They individually assessed each company and basically
I don't really know. I don't know the
shit?
criteria, but well, one of the things that they did was games that come out in China have to be approved by state regulators.
Okay,
and they froze the regulatory process for a couple of years, which meant that no new products could come out essentially, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Things
For
like
years
this.
there was no video games in China. I remember that.
This was more recently
right?
though. They froze the regulatory process sometime during
this
COVID.
is even after that? Okay, because I know they had their big boom where they finally got video games after
there was
years
that,
and years.
Like
but
this was like 10 years ago, maybe longer.
Right.
This was more recently.
Like a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was how they targeted a lot of the companies and
shit's been weird in China for video games.
I'm not aware of too much of the specifics, but I know that they decided that Tencent was a good corporate citizen, to quote the thing that I read there, and that they should be allowed to continue working, and they eased some of the restrictions and started to approve some of their games.
Start work with them and get their shit going.
That to me, this like the reason I don't like big companies doing things is because they're profit seeking first and foremost. They're not fucking regulated, they're not they're not forced to serve the good, right?
It's just egregious,
profit seeking.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't really think it's. I guess both people who dislike this and probably people who agree with me in some capacity won't like this either. But yeah, it's definitely not quite Western capitalism, So a lot of the grounds for my objection to that sort of structure fucking dissolves if they make good stuff because they don't have the motive. On the other hand, that Western companies do not to, at least programmatically, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see them invest in things like this, It's a small game. It's made with very little money comparatively. Like they have one of the biggest companies in the world. Surely it could have been a AAA release, but they invest in like games that cost less than $1 million, it seems. Weird games, survival games made by teams of Swedes. What the hell?
It's so like out of left field that you're like, why? How did they end up, owning this company, purchasing them? And why? Like, if you didn't tell me that Tencent owned this game, I would have never known. Like, is it even labeled anywhere on boot up?
No, they own the company that makes it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, or they're the major investor in them. I don't know if they even technically own them.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what the relationship is, but Tencent money made this game, which is a very strange and interesting thing.
Very bizarre. Yeah, definitely strange.
So I don't know, man. You asked if it's a good thing, and I guess it's only as good as the fucking stuff that it pumps out, right?
Yeah.
And if the companies that are in cahoots with some government other than ours on the stock market are making better games, then fuck it, power to them, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it works out at the end of the day, that's all we're really concerned with, right? Like, there's always going to be shitty video games. There's always going to be profit seeking. Like, we just want to be compensated with good stuff once in a while. There's got to be
they have to make things with integrity,
Yeah.
You can't just make things that are just slot machines, virtual slot machines, right?
Integrity Farms, man.
Yeah, it's important.
Definitely.
If it takes regulation of the Communist Party of China to accomplish this, then go nuts. I approve.
Yep. What a weird, strange thing. We didn't even know that, like, going into this game. We just started playing it, and then I guess we stumbled upon it a couple days ago. That you're like, what the fuck?
I stumbled on it reading about the company.
Yeah.
This was not their first game. They made something else before. A fairly successful game, from what I understand. Yeah?
Nice.
A MOBA or something like that. Which probably you can see reflected in this game a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of has that same, like, I guess the top-down view, the isometric, and even the graphics, too. It's got that sort of, I guess, slightly more, like, cartoony vibe.
For sure. I really like how how it's familiar, of course, especially having come off a year of playing games like this, but it's also fairly innovative to my estimation, right? Like, the core loop is abstractly, like, on paper, if you describe it, it's the same, but you're playing a fucking ARPG, man.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, it's not so basic in the combat, like the attacks. It plays like Diablo. You unlock skills and you customize, your skills along the keys, right?
You go after bosses,
Yeah.
That's what it mostly consists in, right? Like, it feels like, just like with Valheim, you're constructing your castle.
Yeah.
In order to just pursue better bosses, you raise your gear level in this game directly, unlike Valheim. But to do that, you need this stuff in your castle, right?
Yeah, you build like, I guess, different stations that do different things. Unlock further fucking items and shit, right?
And isn't it fucking fascinating how, like, I never thought I would say this, but games like this make me take pleasure in managing fucking resources, And there's a great pleasure in just streamlining the manifestation of one or another resource.
Yeah.
You're like, holy fuck. Before it took me so long to get like fucking paper, but now I can just use this shit that I'm lying around and make paper. You're like, your mind is blown. It feels like
it's kind of neat, like in something like Death Stranding, where like optimization is important, and there's like little things you can do, right, to make it fucking
but it means, like, to me it feels like, it's like when you're reading a poem and you like understand it and enjoy it. It's like you're like, you buy into the inner logic of the thing. It's good as your pleasure, that exchange, that like circuit between the mind and the thing is hard to come by, right? For me anyways, I feel like when I try to play other things lately, my mind just resists. I'm like, I don't fucking care, I don't care about this fucking story, Yeah,
it's been weird for me too lately. Like, it's been spending a lot of time playing Final Fantasy IX. Yeah. Like I was saying to you before, and it's
games like that ruin other story games.
Yeah, like I just love I love sitting there and sort of like reading the text, and like it feels like you're reading a book, right? Like it's not, and then turn-based combat is not like you don't have to be like super hardcore engaged. Like it's just such a pleasant thing. It's like sitting and reading a book for me. It's almost like therapeutic, right? I mean, and it's also a fucking great game. Final Fantasy IX is a banger. I don't have to tell you that. Like, it's just known. So, I guess also because I've been playing it on the Steam Deck, kind of just lounging. It's been nice, basically. If you haven't played Final Fantasy IX, I highly recommend play it on whatever damn system you can. It's charming.
Yeah,
music's cool. Good stuff.
It's a beautiful game, Final Fantasy IX. That for me was, I probably mentioned this before, the game that really made video
that
games.
That and 10 were like big fucking,
incredible.
Big benchmarks there.
I have articulated it before. Maybe we talked about it that, what makes an RPG anyways against other games. Like, I don't think it's stat-based progression, which even fucking shit games have, like,
Yeah, nowadays
or even other
has
games,
that.
Maybe I shouldn't be so deprecatory. It doesn't really help as a description. Like, even like fucking online shooters can have stat-based progression system. It doesn't make them RPGs, right? I think what makes it an RPG is that, like a novel, its purpose is to depict human life in fiction. That's its fucking whole thing. So like, it doesn't make sense when you play an RPG to be like, I don't want to fucking see the story. Like, it literally it is a story. It's a novel, right? Like, in that sense, it's not a text, it's not a book, but it's a novel, I think.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
That's why Final Fantasy 9, 8, those games were like fucking, for me, this like, it was at a point where it literally was a novel,
Yeah.
Like, you were reading
like
millions of words.
Super interactive novel.
Yeah.
With a party-based fucking, turn-based battle system.
That's right, yeah. Still is kind of that.
Very crazy, yeah.
Still is that, but just less literally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing that's great about RPGs, but the thing with that is when the story's not a banger, as we said about Final Fantasy IX, then what are you left with,
Yeah.
You're left with a fucking slog.
Yeah, a grind fest.
You're just like, I don't care about this, right? Like,
could games like Valheim and V Rising, would we consider them like RPGs in any sense?
I don't really consider them RPGs.
What's the fucking ruling these days?
I don't really think they're RPGs.
I wouldn't consider it either.
They have what we think of as like RPG-like mechanics, perhaps,
Yeah, that sort of spawned off of RPGs.
Yeah, but I don't know that that's
they're
really what makes
integrated
it an
into
RPG.
everything nowadays. Every game
you know.
has stats, whether you see them or not. It's all,
that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I don't know. That's what makes it. Then there's RPGs, contrarily, that probably don't have much in the way of that, but it doesn't make them less RPGs, right?
Yeah,
like, what
true.
about Detroit Become Human? That's not an RPG.
But like Nier or some shit.
Sure, Nier's an RPG. If you look up JRPG lists, I'm sure you'll find Nier on it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting, but that's why I think survival games have become a category of their own, right? And Minecraft probably was the first one that,
Yeah, Minecraft would have probably
pioneered this genre.
Yeah, I guess so, eh?
I think so, yeah. Nothing else had the traction,
Yeah.
The basic fucking, like, shit you do here is out of Minecraft, right?
Right.
With the building and the fucking resources.
Did you ever play Minecraft not in creative mode or
I did,
in the actual survival mode or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it similar to these games? I never played Minecraft.
It was exactly like these games. Yeah.
Just to get, so it really was like the fucking.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Look for better resources to build better tools and get better resources. There's even a few bosses, you know?
Wow.
Like a really rudimentary Valheim progression.
Yeah.
But it's not rudimentary yet, and on the fucking creative side, it's very different, right?
Yeah.
Nor on the building side or the progression, I'm sure. It's just the bosses and, you know.
That game is probably so beyond different now than it was back then. It's gone through so many years of changes and updates and upgrades and fucking this and that. Who the fuck even knows anymore?
Feels like for me, Minecraft is like the progression that these games have, but then it doesn't have the fucking, you know, there's no bosses and this and that right here. That like that return feedback from the game, you need to continue through it, you know? It feels like that provides that
going.
that element that you're bouncing against, you know, in Valheim and this one has a nice feeling to it too, with the altar there and all the bosses. I initially thought that the bosses were all just like reskin basic mobs, but a number of them are unique.
I've been enjoying it more so than any of the other, you know, like survival games I've played. Like I played a bit of Valheim with you guys. I played. I had full intention on playing.
Conan's nice. We'll get back to
Conan.
that.
Yeah, exactly. But since I started up V Rising, I've been playing that more, and it's. I think it's sick. I like it because I think of the, you know, the Diablo isometric shit, right?
Yeah,
the skills, that kind of stuff. Like the gameplay is satisfying to me. It keeps me like.
They have a nice building system.
I
really like
all
the
that
building
stuff. Obviously. It's
all different. Like they're all different from. This is probably closer to Conan Exiles, actually.
Yeah, I think if this game didn't hit up our radar, I would have probably enjoyed Conan Exiles as well, right? I like Valheim too. I just didn't feel like really getting into it as much as I've been playing this one for now.
That's aight.
Yep. Takes a lot of time to play one of these games, you know. These are like playing like an MMO or something. I just
played fucking 50 hours.
You,
Got it the day after it came out.
I still want to play Final Fantasy XIV online, but like I don't feel like adding another subscription to my life and then feeling forced to like play it because I'm paying for it.
I don't think MMOs do it for me.
Not the right time. Yeah, and maybe it never will be, but
the thing is, MMOs are like, you know, pure numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what am I?
MMOs just aren't our, I guess, our thing.
What's the other side of that, right? Like, what's coming out? I don't know.
Fuck. Speaking of Final Fantasy, though, this Thursday, PlayStation is doing a state of play, which I'm usually not too stoked about these days. It really highly depends on what's going on. Like, sometimes they dedicate a whole one to, like, Horizon or Spider-Man or whatever. I'm just like, whatever. But this one is heavily rumored to be showing off the Final Fantasy XVI trailer, which will be the first time we've seen that game in a while, and obviously fucking excited for that. So hopefully we get some showing this Thursday, 2 days
I believe
from
the
now.
guy who made 14 is making this game.
I think so, and there's also a dude from like Devil May Cry who came over, which is weird.
Combat dude, I guess.
Yeah, for the combat guys. So like, I'm so curious to see what's going on with Final Fantasy 16. Obviously, like, needlessly to say, but and then maybe a remake 2 would be nice to see, either one or something. I don't know. I feel like we need a good solid JRPG in the pipeline now. Let's get those going, right?
That would be cool.
It's been
I hope that we see something of that game.
I don't know what else.
I'd like to play it this year if I can.
Yeah, if it comes out this year, it would be nice. Otherwise, we're just wasting our breath because we no point in talking about it if it's
otherwise, though, I'm happily going to spend this year playing these same survival games.
Just playing survival games. Yeah. That's fair.
Fuck, I have like a thoughtless, practically addiction to these games.
I noticed. Valheim changed you.
I just don't even the time just fucking goes by.
You just rambled on about JRPGs all the time. Now it's about survival.
That's all right.
game.
Fuck it. That's okay though.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
Even JRPGs can be that way though, you know? I guess games that can't be that way are what I spent the couple years before that playing, which is Souls-likes, more like tense kind of demanding experiences, you know? Where you spend most of the time just in a state of agitation.
Struggling, exactly.
Nothing really, like, you know, constructive about it.
Yeah.
excuse me, on the side of what you witness anyways, like until your fucking victory there, you know. Just one of the joys about it, like on the one hand, like we said before, like in a Souls, like, you know, you're the matter of the progress, you're what changes, right? But
yeah,
on the other hand, there's something visceral and enjoyable about seeing like the manifestation of your effort in game, right? Like some tangible, concrete thing, like the base you built. Or
at least in a game like this, it feels more directly applied, right? Like the things you're doing are contributing towards your inevitable fucking boss fight or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like
except for placing carpet on the floor. That's not.
Yeah, I mean that's all like in-game feng shui, like you're fucking crazy, but
yeah, I love that stuff though, man. I
but in terms of your gear, obviously, and your weapons and whatnot,
yeah,
you know,
I really want to make it
traversing out in the world. And you're a vampire in V Rising, so if you go out during the day, you get smoked by the sun.
There's wolf form, bat form.
Oh, there's bat form too. That's sick.
There is. You can fly. It's like late in the game, but yeah, you can.
Oh, I didn't even know that, man. That's sick.
Yeah. You can see your castle from the sky. I can't wait to do that.
I'll do the overview. It's gonna look like, by that time, it's gonna look like fucking Hogwarts, like a fucking massive castle on like a cliffside.
It definitely will.
Jesus Christ.
It definitely will. The next upgrade is still a bit away, but it's coming.
Yeah.
Me and Jingoy there were fucking working towards it pretty quick.
Nice.
Every night the past couple of weeks we've just been fucking
Every time I log on, which is only like once a day, if even, for like an hour, you guys are always on.
Yeah.
You just leave it on, like.
No, I don't. But oh no, your character is always in the world though.
Oh, okay.
If
so you always see me
map,
online.
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're always moving anyway, regardless.
Yeah,
but
usually I'm on though, probably when you are for sure.
Yeah.
These days I
A lot of dedication.
go on like right after fucking my family is sleeping and just stay on until like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, just cook it. Yeah.
Smash it.
If anybody is listening to this that plays V Rising, check out our website. You can join our server.
You can
Play with us.
It'll be fantastic.
Right? Build some shit. Beat some bosses. It's good times.
Yeah, I do enjoy this game.
I wouldn't mind even getting back into Conan again, trying fucking some more survival games, you know?
Yeah, we'll get back into that too.
Yeah.
This is well liked right now. It makes for that, you know, rush of like social experience while you play it. It's nice. I don't like multiplayer games necessarily all the time, but this is the kind of multiplayer game I like. Yeah, and I like that aspect of gaming too, right? When there's a cultural element to it, everybody's, you know, enjoying the thing at once, discovering it. Like there's nothing online about all of the
late
like
game
you can't find the buildings.
shit.
There's no list of anything. It's all being discovered like live, bro. Yeah, live.
What about like bosses and stuff? You see all the bosses or not even?
Usually if you Google a boss, somebody's telling you where it is, but it's not everything, right? You can't find a complete list of stuff.
Interesting.
No list of buildings from the final research station. It's
Fuck, it's fresh.
Yeah,
Get it while it's hot.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I even bought the cosmetic DLC.
Oh yeah? You sick fuck. You're the proud man.
The founder's pack. Yeah.
That's cool. That's good.
Definitely want that. It's a $20 game, but I paid like fucking $30 more for.
Yeah, it's still
for
half
carpets.
the price of fuck. Yeah, it's still half the price of a fucking AAA game with microtransactions and bullshit built in anyway, right?
What do you say we cut her off there and get back to our game?
I think we're pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Set to go.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you guys very much for tuning in once again to hear us ramble about video games. Play some V Rising, join our server. We'll be back hopefully this weekend to talk more to you.
Yeah.
Take care.